All in favor say aye.
Aye.
They stand approved. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes of the April 8th review meeting?
I'll move to approve.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
They stand approved. John, turn it over to you.
Yeah, first we have a final major subdivision for Castle Partners LLC. This is for a 28 lot major subdivision. We mentioned at the review meeting, there were some outstanding items, an updated site plan, some permitting requirements that needed to be turned into us. They've asked for a 60-day extension for review, which will allow them some more time to get those documents put together
Okay.
for the planning commission.
So we will need to vote to grant that extension.
Correct.
Is there a motion to grant a 60-day extension to Castleton Partners LLC?
I will second that.
So moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Subdivision is, or the extension is granted.
Up next, we have a final site plan for Tulip Family LLC at 2736 West Pike. This is for a nursing home facility. Is a 26 room facility. We're waiting on a couple items here, NPDS permitting, stormwater review, an HOP permit coming off the state road there. Nathan's provided some documents today. We haven't had a chance to review those in detail. Nathan, I don't know if you wanted to give a project overview at all.
Sure. So as John said, the Tulip family development, it's a 26 room, 52 bed facility. There's an option to have 1 or 2 beds per room. So that's where the room bed discrepancy comes in. We're coming off of West Pike, out by the Summit Church, right adjacent to the Gardens facility that they're operating right now. We're gonna have a short access drive off of West Pike. We are also going to provide an internal connector between the facilities for their employees or for people that are wishing to come in the main entrance and then coming into this facility here. Stormwater has been reviewed and we have received comments. So that's where that is. The sanitary, we're in the middle of submitting the component 3 for connection to the White Township Municipal Authorities lines. The stormwater itself is proposed to be handled with a subsurface level lift spreader, which will basically take the velocity and make it to 0 and then spread it out over this entire area, about 330 feet. From there, it will sheet flow ideally through the wetland and into the riparian forested buffer. The riparian forested buffer, as far as the NPDS permit is concerned, it basically, as long as you meet the requirements of a riparian forested buffer, you're not increasing the length this way towards the buffer, and we're not increasing the volume this way to the buffer, then the volume requirement is satisfied. The next part of the puzzle is the rate through our subsurface trench and back into the sheet flow, the rate requirement is appeased, and then the water quality leg of that is also taken up by the riparian forested buffer. Now, the riparian forested buffer, they kind of give you a little bit of a grace, because you don't have to have this established by the time you're discharging to it. They give you 5 years to establish your buffer. We have on this plan an exclusion fence to manage the deer population. There's actually a pretty good highway going through here. If you go to this spot on this little stream here, that is becoming more of a problem than maybe it's worth. So we're still working that aspect out. The water is going to be provided by municipal authority, and then electric. It's right there. So all the utilities really are right here for us. Any questions?
I drove out to the site there. You referenced wetlands. Is that designated wetlands in there, or is it gonna become wetlands from the stormwater?
It is wetlands. So down here at the bottom of the site, it has been farmed extensively in the past, probably 80 plus years. From our surveyor's standpoint, he knew the previous farmer, and they said it was very unproductive because they're trying to plant corn in a wetland. Corn doesn't like wet feet, so probably why it wasn't as productive. Now this wetland here and this smaller one here, these were delineated by myself, so I'm pretty confident that that's where they are.
I didn't see any cattails out there, so I wondered, are there?
Well, if you go down to this corner of the site, actually, if you park in the citizens ambulance lower lot, you can see a couple of cattails here at the bottom.
One of the items that's come up in our review so far is that this section here is within the floodway, the federally regulated floodway. So we have to be careful on what we allow as far as fencing and obstructions. And then there's a sewer line that runs here that our sewer engineer was concerned about plantings over. So we met Nathan out there last week, and we're working through that with Young and Associates to try to figure out a solution. I think there's some options there, just kind of figuring it out. So Nathan did provide some additional documentation today. I think at this point I would ask that we table it to give us a little more time to review those documents and get some of these permits in the door.
Is there a motion to table the final site plan for Tulip Family LLC in order to allow additional research?
Oh my God.
A second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries.
Up next, we have a final site plan for Indiana County Development Corporation at Windy Ridge Business and Technology Park. This is a laydown area to support the work going on down at the Humber City Power Plant. These are pre-existing sites, or planned sites, so the stormwater was all accounted for when this was originally developed. One of the items that did come up as a concern, as a note in the review, is that there's a force main, sewer force main that runs through this piece here and connects up in here, and it wasn't noted on the initial plans. So our sewer engineer, Dan, has been working with Young and Associates. That would be the only condition on this, would just be satisfactory coordination with our sewer. That force main's under pressure, so if that gets crushed or if there's material stacked on top that we can't get access to, it could be issues.
Do we know how deep it is?
I don't know. I think that was part of the work.
Yeah, it's variable. We're gonna actually field locate it.
Oh.
And then that way it's exact and everybody kind of understands where it's at and what the provisions will be.
And it sounds like there might be some signage or some indication on site during the use of this so that everybody on site can see where that's located.
Conditional approval is granted. I think you have language that's gonna be included in the letter.
Correct. Do you want to give any feedback?
Byron Stauffer, Executive Director with Development Corporation. That's actually the first I've heard of that particular issue. So Kiewit would be our tenant at the park. You know, I knew it was out there, but I didn't hear that there was some back and forth with the township on it, planning commission. Again, simply just trying to support the overall project. You know, the good news is we're continuing our work out there. Chris has been great in providing support letters. I know it's been a township goal to get, I think it's roadway 6 on your master plan, or your official map rather, to connect to Rustic Lodge Road. The county and the ICDC have collaborated and have secured over $5 million for that project. And so we're working to engage our engineer on that project through the county. It'll be a county project. The ICDC will provide that easement right away for the roadway to connect. So where it terminates at the end of Urban Outfitters, it'll go across. So we'll start that permitting and have secured both state and federal and local funds for that project. And we're also Lot 1 and Lot 1A, and Lot 21. We have state funding through the PA Sites program as well, so we'll be starting the process to do the asbestos mitigation and the roadway connection to Lot 21 for that corner piece. So as we're continuing that work, wanted to work with Kiewit and try to provide some areas for lay down yard for equipment, and even though the site is 3,000 acres, there's a lot going on there, so they need some external access to some sites to control some of the supply chain that's coming into the project.
How much acreage will this involve?
So my understanding is the limit of disturbance is only 24.44 acres. The actual laydown area is denoted on there about 16.6, I believe, plus or minus. So it's a pretty small area overall. I think the total lot acreage is 35-ish, 34 and change. So it's a fraction of the overall site. And given that our stormwater, you can see some of the piping and some of the areas that drain down into the lower areas and up top there. We have a 50% coverage, so that was, if we have 34, that's how we get to that 16-ish. And then, like I said, but the limited disturbance relative to the MPDS and some of the E&S controls is 24.44 acres.
Thank you.
And they will be doing, this is a
little bit of grading. And,
yeah, they're going to be doing privacy fencing here to shield from those properties that sit to the south of that. So the only condition on this one would be the coordination and approval from our sanitary, our sewer engineer regarding the protection of that first.
Okay, is there a motion for approval pending the coordination with the sewer engineer?
I moved.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? It stands approved.
thank you.
Up next, we have a minor revision to the Chick-fil-A site that was approved a couple meetings ago. In this case, it was an update to the latest and greatest layout, I believe, which hasn't increased the building square footage at all. It's just changed the layout ever so slightly. There was also a change to the entrance off of Rustic Lodge Road to make it perpendicular, which was a coordination with the property owner there. Justin, I don't know if you wanted to add anything, or you've given the spiel a couple times. So.
Good evening, Justin Thornton with Colliers Engineering Design. Appreciate you having us here tonight. Honestly, that was a great summary. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have, but I won't keep you here longer than you need to.
When are you opening?
Well, once we get our permits, the landlord has to do their construction or demolition and install the stormwater system and relocate the sanitary, and then we can start our construction. So Chick-fil-A is looking to come in.
So, no conditions on this, John?
No conditions on this.
Is there a motion for approval of the revisions to the final site plan for Chick-fil-A?
So moved.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It stands approved.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. One minor discussion item, we're gonna be putting together a comp plan consistency letter for a township project out at the S&T arena, the municipal, or the athletic complex out there. We're working on a project to put in a new pavilion, and an ADA path around the pond up there that'll include like a fishing, an ADA accessible fishing dock. So great project. Ryan down at the rec complex is working on that grant. We've been working with Young and Associates on the design. It's gonna be a great addition to the complex out there.
Where's the pavilion gonna go?
Where the Kunkel House was. So there's already utility access there, so it's a great spot for it. Anything to add, Chris, on that project?
No, looking forward to it.
Anything else to come before the meeting?
I don't think so.
No further business. Is there a motion for adjournment?
I'll move.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned.